Hey, welcome to Rust Revival Garage. This is a follow-up video to the one I just did where I used seafoam to clean out the Pontiac 350 engine that I've got in my 1968 LeMans. Had a couple things that I know I needed to address, and I kind of wanted to address them here in this video. One of which I need to see why I wasn't shifting out of first gear. I was able to put the seafoam treatment in and drive the car around, but I never got out of first. And I'm hoping that that transmission, which is not very old, is still good to go. Somebody mentioned in the comment on that video that it's possible my vacuum line isn't hooked up, so I need to check on that. I need to check the oil to see how the seafoam did, see if it got a lot of the sludge maybe down at the bottom of the crankcase. I need to check the spark plugs. I haven't checked them. They haven't been in there very long, literally brand new spark plugs. But I need to see if it's fouling them out at all, see if they're still in good condition, I guess. I need to check some electrical issues. It's not that, the battery died on me in the last video when I was trying to put the car back in. So it's possible I've got some kind of electrical problem going on. I did notice some sparks over by one of the positive cables, and so I want to see if there's a problem there, maybe clean up the ground, that kind of thing. What else? Oh, I need to put a new carb spring on there. I've got the original from 1955, I think, spring on that carb, and it's not returning it well, so I want to put a different one on there. I need to get a new bolt, a new nut put on the bolt for the alternator, which might be a little bit of the charging issues, and I need to do the distributor. I still cannot get good timing on it. When I turn the distributor to try to advance it, the vacuum advance is hitting the head, which is telling me that basically I'm not quite positioned in there just right. So I want to see if I can actually pull it out, turn the shaft that's for the oil pump just a little bit over, drop it back down in, maybe give it an extra notch. That will allow me to then turn the distributor and see if I've got decent timing in there. So, all right, got a little bit of everything to do, and so I guess let's get to it. Oh, almost forgot. Got a really cool shirt from Brian over at Arrowhead Garage. Check out his channel. I just bought this from his website. Brian's really great. He's got a 67 Firebird that he is restoring right now and got a lot of cool merchandise. But I thought this was really cool because for me, 5, 6, 7 videos ago, I tore down a Pontiac 400 that I plan on putting into the 68 LeMans. So I thought this was a really cool shirt. But yeah, go check out his channel. Thanks, Brian.
All right, so this, I believe, is the line coming down from the transmission for vacuum. And that goes in, it's plugged in up front. This, I believe, is a new line. There's no hole, so I guess I need to check and see what this looks like down there. Let's take a look at what's going on down here. Oh, so these two should be my transcooler lines. This looks like it is the vacuum line, but it looks like I've got bunch of mouse crap up here. So where does that line go? Ah! I did not have vacuum. Alright, so basically it looks like my vacuum was not hooked up. So I actually think I may want to replace this line. It's not great. I think if I replace this line, slide it back in, then I will have vacuum. The trick is going to be to get this old line off. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm going to replace that line, and I bet I will have vacuum. All right, what does it plug into? I believe the modulator is right in there. I can feel it, just can't see it. I don't know if this hose that I've got is too small. The interior diameter is too small, maybe. Oh, but I'm on there. All right, I am on. Now I just need to get this is not something I want to be doing upside down, but I don't think I have much choice because it's not like I got a lift. All right, so I've got the line hooked back up to this hard line, and it's hooked to the modulator, so hopefully I should be able to shift. The good news is, before I did the seafoam treatment, I had a lot of oil spilling out of the engine. This time I ran it for quite a while. I pretty much got it nice and hot, and I didn't have any oil leaks. So the last time I ran the car, basically I had a ton of oil, and that's actually old oil from the last time I drove it, but I had none spilling out this time. Nothing was dripping down, nothing was causing any problems. So hopefully the seafoam treatment helped let a lot of that oil drain back down into the crankcase. And the only thing that I have out here is what was originally there. So I think it kind of helped, at least as far as draining oil out of the tops of those heads and not running out and over the valve covers. One of the other things I noticed the last time I was running this and trying to get it warmed up is that this was really not resting all the way as far back as it could go. So one of the things that I did add was a new spring, and that's basically got it pulled back enough that it's not just sort of hanging up there a little bit and revving a little too high. So I think I've actually got a good return spring on there to keep this throttle back. Slack's out of it. It's running pretty good now. Pretty happy with this spring. I was talking in one of the other videos in the end about how I wasn't having a good connection, but I wasn't sure how this went. Somebody said I should have a nut in here, then the plastic piece, and then the nut. And I did see it somewhere in another video that it looked very similar to where they had the nut inside. So I think I'm going to try to find one that can fit on this bolt, and then that way I've got it basically set up correctly. Alright, so I ended up breaking the little plastic piece. I'll have to get a replacement for that. But at least I now have the alternator wire sandwiched between these two nuts. I think that's going to give it a lot better contact. Let's check out a spark plug and see how it looks. All right. It's looking pretty oily. I honestly don't know what that means, but yeah, got a lot of oil around here, so kind of hard to tell. I know that I put these in and had a lot of Marvel Mystery Oil and stuff in there. I've had some oil leaks, so that might be part of it. I don't know. If you can let me know what you think that means, or if you can see anything on the head of that spark plug, let me know, because I'm really not sure, but I did definitely want to check things. The other thing I want to check is see what the oil looks like. Alright, so after I did the seafoam treatment, basically wanted to get an idea of how bad the oil looks. And it looks a little bit darker, but it's not nearly as dark as I thought it might be, maybe with all of the gunk and sludge getting cleaned up. So I might want to even try to do another round of the seafoam. Yeah, you can see it's certainly a lot darker than it was when I first started out. Because this oil maybe has a half an hour run on it. Brand new VR1 mobile oil. Maybe a half an hour total run time. I've probably driven it around about maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles. So yeah, definitely is some sludge down there at the bottom. That is a good sign. All right, gonna take off the distributor, spark plug wires. Get these out of the way. My positive from the battery out of the way. And I need to disconnect the vacuum advance. Now we gotta get the cap off. Alright, so the cap can come off. Alright, so my cap is out of the way. Right now my rotor is pointed right back here. So what I'm going to do is lift distributor up out. I've got to turn the oil pump shaft down in there just a little bit, so that when I put this back down in, the rotor is hopefully going to be pointing to about right here, which is not that much farther over. But then that gives me the ability to advance the distributor. Right now I can't advance because this vacuum advance is hitting the head. So yeah, that's pretty much my goal, is to get this turned a little bit this way so that I can then advance it a little more this way. Get a little light on the situation. Alright, so I've got... Oh no, I dropped my hold down bolt. Got my hold down plate. Here's the bolt. Alright, so I have the bolt. Didn't fall too far, luckily. So now, just need to pull distributor up out. Alright, so it was pointing roughly here. When I pulled it up out, it actually turned it over to about here. So when I go down in, I want to make sure it's pointing a little bit farther over to the left. So you can see, hopefully you can make it out, but there's a little bar inside the distributor. I need to go down in there with the screwdriver, turn it a little bit, so that when this goes back down in, it'll be over here. Problem is, I can't really see down in there, so I'm gonna have to sort of feel. Actually, I can see. All right, let's see if we can get you in there. So you can kind of see the little shaft that's down in there. I need to turn that a little bit counterclockwise. And then when I drop the distributor in, it'll be a little bit farther over to the left. I've dropped the distributor back in. It was pointing a little bit right to here. Now it's pointing to right about there. So hopefully that will give me a decent range. It was pointed to about right there. Now it's over to here. I think I'm going to give this a try. I've got the distributor back in. I don't know. It seems like I maybe turned it a little too much. So I think I'm going to have to really get it far left, try to start it, and see if I can then bring it into time. But she's back in and all hooked up. All the wires are hooked up. But yeah, a little worried that I went a little too far. So we'll see. Next item on the list is these brakes. Car does brake when I'm driving around. It is not braking well. Brakes still need some work. I mean, I know that these are not power brakes, but I shouldn't be pushing all the way in almost to the floor just to get it to kind of slow down. Like, she doesn't lock up. So I'm going to try bleeding these again, seeing if that was the problem. Master cylinder's new, brake lines are new, new wheel cylinder in there. So the only thing I can think of is that I've got some air in the line still. So hopefully bleed the brakes, and then when we hopefully get this thing started back up and in time, test those brakes and see if they get any better. One of the other things I wanted to take care of was this battery situation. I figured I would just start with the negative. Basically, I got this cleaned up a little bit, cleaned up the inside of that, but just need to make sure I'm getting a decent ground. And so I'm going to clean up this a little bit too. The other thing that I noticed, saw some sparking down here the last time I ran this. I'm wondering if there isn't something going on with one of these wires that's causing me some issues with my power. All right, so my ground has a good connection to the block. Whoa. Just plugged in the battery and had a massive overload. I don't know what the hell happened. Wow, that's not good. Luckily I got it off in time and it did not catch fire, I don't think. Oh man. Something was burning back there. Some cord is causing the problem somehow. Wow. Yeah, you can kind of see that cord right there. But that's the cord that looks like it comes up from the starter to the alternator. Oh man, they must have been touching. Shoot. Must have been cut somehow. I thought I had seen some sparks there, but must have been touching, and then it touched the steering wheel column and seriously caught on fire. Or smoked it, basically. Jesus. Okay, so I did a little bit of digging into the wiring. Looks like it's the wire from the starter up to the alternator. And kind of take a look at this. I actually sort of unwrapped the wiring. It's been in this little tube that rests down in here since I bought the car, and got it all apart. Figured, well, it's just going to be the one wire. This, it looks like it was bent back in there. Might have been the original wire to the alternator. I'm not even sure what this one's for. But what got me was this little bit of wiring. This is the wire itself that comes up from, I think this is it. Nope, this is the wire here. This is the one that burnt. I lost my light. The purple wire is the one that got burnt. So as you can see right here, it got burnt. And this one comes up, and it looks like it's been spliced into. And that does not look like it's some little splicing hack job. It looks like it actually might be factory. There's another one. Because this is the wire that goes on and plugs into the back of the alternator. And this little hack job, or I'm sorry, it's not really a hack job, I guess, but this little splice here. Now both of these wires, when I follow them back, go down into the loom that goes into the dash. And I thought, why do they have two wires getting spliced into the wire that's coming up from the starter to the alternator, and then attaching it here to the back? That's the only thing I'm just not sure of. And why are they two wires going in? So I'm assuming maybe it's something that's in the fuse box that's in there, so it's basically being used to power some of the fuse box outlets inside the car. And so I'm going to have to duplicate that, and I think that's going to be my trickiest bit, is replacing this wire here, this purple one that's gotten burnt up. So I'm going to have to drop the starter now, release that wire, run a new wire up, and then I'm going to have to, I guess, splice in these wires. I don't know. And the weird thing is it looks like this black wire is spliced in. This one is spliced off, goes back around and back down in again. So it's really kind of confusing. The only other thing that I'm keeping is this is the other two wires that come off from the back of the alternator. And this purple wire, I guess I can eliminate this green one because, again, this I think was never really plugged into anything. And I can eliminate this one, which I think it's never been hooked up, let's just say that. So I can eliminate those. But I've got 6, 7 wires all going to the alternator, and I don't know why. There really should just be the 3 wires from the alternator. So I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to solder in those wires into this one that I'm replacing. Let's see if we can get this starter out. Let's do the hard one first. I may need to remove this dust shield. Those bolts were in there nice and tight. There's one. And I guess I better coax the other one out for a little bit. Starter's starting to drop a little bit. My big worry is spacers. I don't know if there's any spacers up in here. My concern is that they fall out and I don't know where they came from. Alright, so that bolts out. Oh, I'm going to have to remove this dust cover, aren't I? Yep, see? I've got spacers up in there. So I'm assuming they're going in like that. Good to know. But how does this come out? Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the dust cover off. So we're sort of hanging here, and I don't have enough of this line to get it to drop down. I've got enough here. Maybe if I take off the positive, I can get it to stretch back a little bit. Hell. You know what? I'm not going to be worried too much about it because look, this, the big positive is really screwed up too. This is the one that's really bad. And this one doesn't look too much better. I might just cut these two wires and drop it down and unscrew that one. Starters out. Tried to clean up a little bit. It was just a little really super greasy and oily in here. But yeah, time to run some new wires. I'm going to need a lot more than I thought. Complete positive cable and then that second wire that goes down. We'll probably have to splice into what they've got going on at the relay here. This is the red wire that was going down. They've got it all junctioned in here 80 ways to Sunday. So I may have to figure out what the heck they were trying to do with all of this business. Splice into this one, cut this one off, splice into it, and then also run the new positive wire, which doesn't even look all that old. Oh well. All right, that's going to do it for now. It's starting to run a little bit long, but got some things taken care of. We've got the vacuum hooked up to the transmission. Some things taken care of on that carburetor spring. Got the distributor turned, so hopefully now I can actually, when I can start this car again, I can get this thing into time and add some more advance to it. I think it was running pretty lean. Didn't take care of the electrical issues, obviously. But I got the brakes bled, checked the oil, and so if you see anything, please let me know down in the comments below. The spark plug itself, I couldn't really tell what kind of shape those plugs were in. So yeah, if you can, let me know. It was just kind of lightly brown all the way across the top of that spark plug, and there was a lot of oil around the threads. So if you can, let me know, and hopefully I can get the electrical stuff figured out. If you've got any ideas for that too, please leave those down in the comments. The biggest issue I'm going to have is getting, there's actually 3 wires that have to connect to the one wire going to the alternator. If you have any ideas for how I can do that, I don't think I want to take, because there was one, the really small one, then the 2 larger ones that tied into that, and then there was the big one starter to the alternator wire that I've got to replace. So if you've got any ideas for that, please let me know. And if you can, subscribe. It really helps the channel. I've got a lot coming up on the LeMans. I've got to probably take that engine out. I want to take that oil pan off, get all that stuff cleaned out. I want to change the timing chain. I want to change the water pump. There's a lot of things I've got to do. So please subscribe and follow along on my journey. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.